ladies and gentlemen, the next session that we're about to embark upon explores how the fourth industrial revolution is reshaping the power distribution landscape, where intelligent algorithms, immersive interfaces, and autonomous machines are together redefining how utilities operate, respond, and evolve. So artificial intelligence and machine learning are enabling DISCOMs to make data-driven decisions with precision, predicting faults before they occur, optimizing load management in real time, and minimizing losses with analytics-based interventions. Meanwhile, virtual and augmented reality are transforming how field personnel train, maintain, and troubleshoot through real-time simulation, remote assistance, and asset visualization. And robotics and drones are stepping into the field for inspection, fault detection, and hazardous operations, enhancing safety, efficiency, and uptime. So this session, ladies and gentlemen, which I said earlier as well, is going to be extremely compelling, will spotlight India's progress and global best practices in deploying AI, ML, VR, and AR robotics across the power value chain. So I urge you to please take seats. We have half the hall full. We could begin, but I don't. Okay. So I'd like to request at this juncture our chair, Shri Prince Dhawan, Executive Director. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll request you to all to be seated, and let me invite on stage Shri Alok Kumarji, Director General IDA, to kindly join us on stage in the capacity of our chair. Let's welcome him back with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Shri Alok Kumarji, DG IDA, and former Secretary, Ministry of Power. Let's welcome him back on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Shri Alok Kumar, DG IDA, and former Secretary, Ministry of Power. Welcome back, sir. I'd like to now call on our eminent panelists. May I request Shri Reji Kumar Pillai, President ISGF. Shri Abhishek Ranjan, CEO BRPL. Shri Ganesh Das, Chief Collaboration and Innovation, Tata Power Company Limited. Shri Parikshit Bhardwaj, Senior VP, BYPL. Shri Alok Mishra, Market Area Manager, Power Grid, DNV. Okay. Shri Rohit Parikh, Chief Product Officer, Impressa.ai. Shri Swapnadeep Banerjee, Customer Solutions Manager, Trilliant. Shri Anish Kalucha, CIO and Head IT and Automation, NPCL. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me take you through the names of our eminent panelists and invite them as well. And we have Ms. Reena Suri, the Executive Director of ISGF, joining us as our moderator. Let's welcome her with a huge round of applause. And may I invite Shri Rohit Parikh, Chief Product Officer, Impressa.ai, who's going to be making a presentation in this session. We have Shri Abhishek Ranjan, CEO BRPL, Shri Ganesh Das, Chief Collaboration and Innovation, Tata Power Company, Shri Parikshit Bhardwaj, Senior VP BYPL, Shri Alok Mishra, Market Area Manager, Power Grid, DNV, Shri Swapnadeep Banerjee, Customer Solutions Manager, Trilliant, and Shri Anish Kalucha, CIO and Head IT and Automation, NPCL. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause, please, for our eminent panelists, and Shri Ranjan also joining us now. And with that, I now request Ms. Reena Suri to kindly take over the proceedings of the session.
Hello. Sorry. A very good evening to all of you. I request everyone to please settle down. I know we are running very, very tight and not giving you enough time to step out and have a cup of tea, but I'm sure we'll have enough time in the evening to unwind with a cultural program and the band that we have lined up. So please bear with us. We'll try to finish on time for this session, and we have one more session to go. But both are very, very interesting sessions. So thank you. And I'm Reena Suri, Executive Director with India Smart Grid Forum. And I wish a very good evening to all of you and a warm welcome again. I hope you found the discussions so far very insightful and engaging. And it's been a fascinating day of discussions and forward-looking ideas. And the theme of this session is AI, ML, AR, VR, AR robotics for power distribution utilities, truly captures the transformation that's unfolding in our sector today. And it's amazing how fast the technology is changing the world around us. Just a few years ago that, when we were talking about AI and ML, it sounded very futuristic. But today they are right here, transforming how our power utilities operate every single day. And with this rapid evolution of AI, ML, and robotics, it's a truly, opening new horizons for our electricity distribution companies, making operations more efficient, and our grids more reliable, systems safer, and customers more satisfying. So helping the technology, helping the DISCOMs analyze the amounts of data that is coming in real time now, and supporting the predictive equipment failures before they happen, and forecasting demand with precision, identifying losses, and helping in optimizing network performance. And AR, VR, the virtual and augmented reality, they are doing something equally exciting. They are transforming how we train and support our workforce. And then there's robotics and drones taking our hazardous, repetitive, and time-consuming tasks like network inspection and fault detection automatically. So at the ISGF, we have had the privilege of working very closely with the utilities and technology partners to help make these innovations a reality. Our recently released handbook on AI, ML, VR, and AR, and robotics use cases in power utilities, which Mr. Pillai will be presenting a brief presentation on, shows that how promising these pilots and global best practices are, and lays out a practical roadmap for the Indian DISCOMs to adopt these technologies at scale. So today's session is all about understanding how these technologies are reshaping our utilities, learning from real experiences, and imagining what the next decade of power distribution will look like. In this session, we explore practical use cases and global best practices, roadmap for deploying these technologies for the next generation performance standards. So with those few words, I once again welcome all our distinguished panelists today, and our chair for the session, Shri Alok Kumar ji. And we have a very exciting lineup of speakers and bringing their experience. And so without further ado, let me have the pleasure of inviting our chair, Shri Alok Kumar ji, to please give his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Reena ji, and all the co-panelists and Shri Pillai. This session is natural succession of what we were discussing in the previous panel. And just to set the context, there are, if you see the broad picture, we have distribution utilities. People are sitting there in last, say, 8-10 rows who have been listening since morning, not speaking. But we can speak maybe on their behalf. We'll try to speak. Distribution companies are facing emerging challenges in terms of more and more difficult demand pattern and more difficult generation pattern. And national push to have crores of rooftops and PM Kusum. So the distribution companies have been asked to handle difficult situation. On the other hand, we have the AI/ML solution providers and all. Go and see the exhibition. They come with a very fancy solution. Some of them are very good, some of them are very innovative. But as DG IDA, I can say, there is a general appreciation but a big disconnect. Because there is an offering which is coming from supplier side, and user side, a distribution company is not, maybe Tata Power is one, but not many DISCOMs are very clear what solution to pick up, how to use. So I see the big data is being generated. That was the comment made in the last session. we are not very sure how to use it, how to take benefit of it. I see what Rinaji was saying, AI, ML, AV, say AR, VR and robotics. I see them as enablers and multipliers. We have problems with us. We have the challenges with us. And there are solutions which can leverage the ultimate benefits from the data, from the investments we are making in smart meters, SCADA, and several other, like the distribution automation system and all. So those solutions can be enabler and multiplier, like AR, VR can multiply the benefits and they can shorten the time period with which we can train our manpower. I will be very keen to listen to the panelists who are experts much more than I know about AI, ML. But I have few suggestions to make for consideration of the audience and panelists. They can comment on the solutions, they can disagree, they can agree. I propose that we need to set up something like a national clearing house. Several innovation and experimentation being done by the suppliers, by some discoms like Madhya Pradesh, Purva Kshetra was telling. People are confused. Let a body of experts and a group of distribution companies come together in a national clearing house, and they should clear that which are the solutions which have been proved, which have wide usage. And once a national clearing house clears a solution, then what Shashank was telling, maybe there can be a central procurement and can be given to all discoms. Okay, this is a solution which has been tried and tested, which is a wide application, and we are giving you a solution free of cost, and this is the solution, please use it and use it as fast as you can. These solutions could be AI/ML or can be pre-AI/ML. How to prepare data, how to validate data, how to structure data. Second step will be capacity building, because this AI/ML will not succeed at the sake of repetition unless until we train our discom manpower right at the field level and the discom headquarter level. There are two different type of layers in the discom. Third thing which I repeat, I said in the morning also, giving a solution and giving a training will not work. You need hand-holding, continuous hand-holding. We need a national resource repository where discoms can tap. They can come and say that we are using this solution. We have some training, but we are stuck. Please help us out. And one fourth thing which have been given a task in the last session, a national working group which keeps on meeting and sharing and debating what are the emerging issues which require policy intervention, regulatory intervention, so that to resolve the issues in the rollout. And so I'll stop at this. There are these four basic suggestions from my side. I'm very happy to listen to the panelists and maybe we'll find some solutions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alokji, for setting the context for and your expectations from the session. And I hope with this session we'll be able to deliberate and carve a roadmap forward with your expected task and plan towards that. So ISGF had prepared a small video of all the wonderful innovative technologies that are coming in, which was which were actually which won the ISGF Innovation Award in AI category, which we host at India Smart Utility Week. But I think due to paucity of time, we will play first thing in the morning tomorrow with the first session starting. So without further ado, let me have the pleasure of having our first presenter. I have a small presentation by Mr. Rohit Parekh. He's the Chief Product Officer, Impressa.ai. Over to you, Mr. Parekh. He'll be presenting on AI sovereignty and India's digital utility future.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alokji. Thank you, Rinaji. Can we have presentation here, please? Thank you so much. So one of the thing that got highlighted in a conversation last week with one of our researchers was that the person made the comment that amount of data that Indian utilities are going to generate in next 5 years are going to be much more than amount of data entire world generated in first 100 years of electrification. So now that is the challenge and that is the opportunity. And India is at the cusp of that sort of revolution, if you can call it, and it's important that we do it right. While as Alokji mentioned that there is a lot of awareness about what needs to be done and what we are going to do and use cases, and everyone is talking about proofs of successes and things like that, there's a very little readiness. That's where the gap is. There's very little readiness in DISCOMs in terms of being able to adopt it in a successful and impactful way. And there are certain examples that I would like to share in my presentation today. In some of the world's largest utilities, how AI roadmaps have been successful and then have helped them save billions of dollars in a year in terms of not only deriving additional revenue streams, but also in terms of cost avoidance. Do I have a remote or something here? So there is a global context. First and foremost, to not repeat the mistakes of past 100 years or 200 years, where we sold coal or iron ores just at the value of sand and things like that. One cannot sell data or just make your data available to entire world just like that. And there's a larger discussion going around AI sovereignty around the world, primarily in Global South. None of the foundation models or AI, deep technology algorithms or any of those language models can be successful without data from Global South primarily, India in particular, right? So it's important for India to own the intelligence, not just use it from third-party vendors or vendors from third country, second country. The opportunity is in this one. We all know that 250 million smart meters are being rolled out. There are lots and lots of data. I can tell you the tune of it. There is one instance or implementation we have where amount of smart meters are 15 millions, which is 1.5 crore. And data that we ingest every day in our system is to the tune of 20 terabytes every day. And processing that needs to be done for nearly a dozen AI use cases needs to happen in less than 3 to 4 hours. That's how fast it has to be. That's how quickly the data needs to be ingested. And of course, these 24, 25 AI use cases are just the beginning of it. So the opportunity is there. The challenge is there. It's just the readiness that we have to prepare ourselves for making sure that we are sort of powering our Vision 2047, right? And I already mentioned that this is an opportunity as well as a challenge. Challenge is in terms of achieving this intelligence without losing this sovereignty. How do we achieve this sovereignty here? So all the other panelists will probably talk about robotics use cases and everything else and drones and whatnot, but these are some of the foundational things that needs to be set before we take the journey forward. There are 3 main aspects of the data platform. Any government or any private entity that works in public sector or critical infrastructure sector must take care of these things. The foundation models must be indigenized, if that's the right word, and must be localized, must be owned by entities within the country, within the sovereign boundaries of the country. So industry foundation model denotes here the foundation models crafted for power sector in India. Secondly, the native graph databases, it's not just okay to have a data model which is SIM compliant or ICCP compliance and things like that. It's also important to maintain the relationships of those data on top of it. How one data relates to other, how a consumer behaves, what's their payment behavior, what's their energy consumption behavior, what's the tendencies of, or say propensity of payments and things like that. So you not only capture the core data, you also capture the behaviors in the underlying data sets, and that must be there in the platform. And then comes the language model on top of it. So language models are also needs to be localized and must be industry-centric. These are the three core pillars of AI sovereignty, if we talk about it. Other than that, the scale of platform, the ability to scale, India has probably the largest scale. It needs to accommodate, be able to accommodate to this scale here. Accuracy of the modeling and the technology. Compute, more or less, we all talk about those GPUs and NVIDIA chips and things like that. In 6 months to 1 year, you will notice that compute or those chips, silicon, is going to be commoditized. Almost every company who owns AI models now, they are building their own chips. Similarly, governments and global south governments also have to invest in that area, and that is going to get commoditized.
Rohitji,
yeah.
Can you be a little
sorry.
close,
I'll just
Thank
close
you.
it. Yeah. So coming back to the use cases, there are nearly 40 plus use cases that we have experienced already operationalized. 120 use cases are transformational in nature that are being operationalized as we go, but these cannot be done before these 40 are done, right? So it's like learning mathematics basics before you learn calculus, right? So some of these deep tech things go that way. There are overall 11 pillars that our research shows, 11 AI pillars for a distribution utility, but we talk about, for Indian context to begin with, we think that these 5 AI pillars are more important in terms of bringing in asset intelligence and predictive maintenance or customer experience and grid resilience and revenue and operational autonomy here. Every use case should not take more than 2 to 3 months to production, so time to value should be that should be the benchmark. If something takes more than 3 months, then the foundational work is not present. Another important aspect of sovereignty here is the digital quadruplet architecture. Once you have data lake, someone mentioned data lakes here, but that's okay, data lakes are there, but then there has to be a cognitive layer that is built by the layers that I explained earlier. There has to be an operational layer that feeds the intelligence into the business process, and then comes the engagement, which is the interface layer that interacts people, systems, and customers, right? So here is the opportunity where India can sort of pave the way for a global south integration. So this is my last slide here, and then co-innovation and policy intervention is what I call out here for. People like us are more open to collaborate and make these platforms available for public use. Just the policy interventions are required. That's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but we have another session to go. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. Please, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to Rohitji for sharing the wonderful perspective around how the AI is transforming the utilities, as well as which are the major pillars which the utilities are looking into. So with that, I have the pleasure of inviting for the next presentation President ISGF, Mr. Reggie Kumar Pillai, who will be presenting on the handbook that ISGF has put together for compiling all the use cases around AI, ML, and VR, AR, robotics. Over to you, sir.
Good evening. Sorry to keep you late. I'll take only 5 minutes. She allotted 7. Please load the presentation. You have all seen the AI handbook which we released in the morning. So PDF version should be available late night today on ISGF website, indiasmartgrid.org. Like all our publications are open, free for downloading. This has about 340 pages. I don't know how many of you will get to time to read the whole thing. I can't see the presentation.
Presentation for Mr. Pillai, please.
So this is organized into a executive summary, which is only 7-8 pages. And there is an introduction, why the context, what is the need for this handbook, what are the objectives. And then in chapter 2, we are explaining all these technologies briefly. It gives you context for people to understand, and also why it is relevant for India's power sector and many other developing countries. This kind of a compilation is not available anywhere, so this will be useful for utilities outside also. And a draft version we had released in September to some of the experts who had given comments, and those comments we have incorporated in this handbook. We expect when it is made public, people from around the world will comment on it. So we expect to compile such public comments and come out with a revised version within 4 to 6 months. So presentation still not there? Okay. So from 35 countries, we have, the handbook consists of 174 use cases.
So the presentation is on.
Yeah.
You can change this.
This over. Yeah, chapter 1 is an introduction. Chapter 2 is a brief explanation of what are all these technologies. The small AR is assisted reality. There are some demo on that you could even see. How remote help can be given by experts sitting in offices for a field technician who is working on the field. Chapter 3 has about 47 of these use cases which are explained in detail. But none of them we have the cost data. We had sent a standard template to different utilities around the world for sharing their AI use cases successfully implemented in a standardized template version. We got some responses from some places, but cost data not shared. As a result, we could not even attempt a cost-benefit analysis in that. So chapter 4 talks about AI-related policies, regulations, and standards globally, and pretty much in detail. And it also talks about the landscape in India. And 5 talks about an implementation strategy and roadmap for adoption for utilities. And we looked at the utilities readiness matrix and recommended a phased implementation roadmap. The first 2 years, 2 to 5 years, and 5 to 10 years, what should be. Appendix A has 37 use cases with less detail than what is there in the main report, the first 47. But it gives fairly good idea of what is done. And Appendix B has 90 use cases, only web links. The book has already become 340 pages, so that gives you the web links. Those who are interested in each of those use cases can click and use that. But the most important part is the Appendix C. This is a case study of DBS Banks. It's a Singapore bank which was ranked as the world's worst bank in 2009. The last of some 200 or 300 banks rated by some financial institutions, that was the worst one. So the management changed and they decided to go for digitalization. So a complete digital transformation which they achieved in the next 10 years is phenomenal. Today, in 2022 onwards, they are rated as the first bank in the world by all reviewers. And there are some YouTube videos, there are some articles are all given in Appendix C. Why we selected a bank? Because the distribution companies and the banks are almost same challenges. They have millions of customers every day, thousands or lakhs of financial transactions, and it is thousands of employees distributed across large geography. So whatever they have done are highly relevant for DISCOMs. We would request all DISCOM management to go through some of those YouTube videos. And finally is a table. So this is it. It covers generation. Generation means RE generation also, transmission, distribution, system operation, power trading, robotic process automation, and security operations center. And main report has 47 use cases. The Appendix A has 37 and 90 in the Appendix B. And these are compiled from 35 different countries. And there are 17 different type of use cases which are there. I won't go through it. You can read it. This presentation will also be available. The comprehensive summary of each type of use cases in this table. And these are some of the standards which are being developed by different organizations. Actually, ISO, IEC, they have some standards and they have some joint working group, and our BIS LITD 30 work very closely with them, and some of the standards we already published. There's a list of standards published, AI and ML standards published in India. You can find it in the LITD website in bis.org. We don't have much of policy and regulations here. What regulations we, as you know, DPDA was passed in 2023, but it is yet to be notified by Government of India. We hope it will start very soon. There was a NITI Aayog report which needs to be updated. That's 7 years old. So AR, VR, there is nothing as of now, but those technologies are being promoted in RDSS program. Blockchain-based peer-to-peer trading of rooftop energy, which we will be talking in the next session. There are 4 states have issued regulations, and in fact, India is the only country where there are actual regulations for peer-to-peer trading. I wouldn't go through it. There are some implementation strategy recommended, phased implementation, utility readiness matrix, capacity building, data governance, all those things. And also the key recommendations include government and policymakers should go for a national digital roadmap, digital maturity index, revised investment guidelines, there should be funding for pilots, etc., etc. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pillai, and please give a big round of applause. It's been a very, very tedious job putting all the case studies together, and congratulations to the ISGM for this tremendous effort of putting this comprehensive roadmap and highlighting how Indian utilities can strategically leverage these emerging technologies. So with that, we will now move into our panel discussion with an outstanding lineup of our leaders who are here with us and sharing this perspective around how they are driving innovation across India's power distribution company. Let me start with our first panelist, Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, CEO of VSCS Rajdhani Power. Abhishek ji, VRPL has been an innovation leader, and also from the AI-driven demand forecasting to customer engagement, you have done many practices already, and request you to please share some recent AI/ML initiatives that have delivered measurable impact on operations or customer satisfaction. Over to you, Mr. Ranjan.
Thank you, and hope I'm audible. Rinaji, thanks a lot. So straight away coming to the point. So one is AI-based demand forecasting, and of course the machine learning models, basically, they are learning and improving day by day. The intraday forecasting MAPE has reduced below 2%, about 1.5, 1.3%, and that is 2 hour ahead demand, and that is helping us integrate or maintain the balance in the schedule and the demand, actual demand. That has improved over a period of time, the last 6-7 years now. Day ahead has come down below 4%, and we are now focusing on thunderstormy days to bring that value also in single digit, because sometimes it becomes a 15-20% on a thunderstormy day, a day ahead demand. And for that now, the other use case that we have started is weather modeling using AI for a specific 1 by 1 kilometer grid within the city of Delhi. So that we have started, and we expect that this is going to mature with time. 11 kV feeder-wise demand forecasting and weather modeling and weather-based demand forecasting. Third thing is, which we are reaping benefits, is on usage of AI-based platform for predictive and prescriptive asset health maintenance. So that we have already done. Earlier we had done some pilots, now we have incorporated it. 11 kV feeder, like drone-based and mast-based imagery is capturing, and then analysis of the images and capturing priority-wise 0, 1, 2, 3 action items to be taken. And that is helping us improve our SAIDI and SAIFI as well. And we don't have exact numbers right now, just started. And including 33 and 66 kV feeders, HT substations. For example, when I say substations, 33 by 11 substations, they're also being captured. So these are the three concrete. There are other initiatives also, for example, training. So we have virtual reality based training modules based off our ring many units. For example, we started for our employees recently, which is now being made a mainstream course for employees. So and now we are extending beyond RMUs to transformers and other critical assets as well. I'll pause here, Reena.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ranjan, for sharing the various use cases, which, there's a lot to learn from the innovations that you are bringing with AI, ML, and also using AR, VR for the training of the workforce. So thank you so much for that. We'll come back to you for questions. Let me invite the next panelist. We have Mr. Ganesh Das, Chief Collaboration and Innovation Officer from Tata Power. Over to you, Dr. Das.
Thank you, Reena, and good evening to all of you. It is very exciting to really understand how the AI, ML, all the related, periphery around that is going to help the utilities. But at the same time, a little bit of a caution. I think largely Raji had mentioned the content which is there in the book, and also Rohit has given a very interesting overview of that, how exactly the utilities are going to get benefit by this interesting innovation which we are going to have. But from the utility standpoint, we have to just step back and understand that we are going to deal with a lot of data, starting from the smart meters, the information which is generated through our network, either it is maintenance, failures, whatever the case may be. And then eventually we have a very large set of consumers, their behavior, and then everything has to translate into a value proposition for the customer. So many times what happens when we come across these interesting supporting technologies, it is also expensive to really work around that. And then you need servers, you need a lot of power guzzling servers in this case. And then also the support system using sensor, everything around that. And then the fundamental technology which we are using when it comes to the electrical network. And this is going to get supported by the periphery of technology or the supporting technology, either which is communication or in this case AI. We have to be little strategically, kind of be careful while doing that. So very interestingly, if you look at the grid, where the two-way communication started off from the smart grid, this thing, and then now we are moving into different level of forecasting, and the renewable integration is coming in a big way. Now, if we really see the situation which is changing now, as earlier we had a very fixed generation, a predictable generation, and now you are having an opportunity to get into an opportune generation in terms of solar, wind, otherwise. And then we have got a very interesting technology coming in through batteries, the battery energy storage system. And then we are also looking at the long duration battery energy system. So what is the entire thing is going to be and the electric vehicle coming in a big way. So all this change is going to make us very current, and then we have to very optimize the network and the resources what we have. So the AI is going to play an extensive, very big role in integrating these elements of the value chain when it comes to electricity. Either you have got electric vehicle on one side, battery coming on other side, the solar generation, the intermittency which associates with the generation, and then wind and the other areas of happening. And we are also shortly going to see the nuclear also coming in a big way. So huge influx when it comes to the basic fundamental technologies, and the kind of how we are going to optimize the network is going to be very key, and the forecast associated with that. And also on the other side, what we are seeing is very interesting consumer behavior. Now, appliances, the time of use, the changing lifestyle of the consumers, the education system, the commercial dimensions, the industries, everybody is going to produce things in a different way. And if you really look at the industries, India is beginning to be one of the very big manufacturing hubs. You see the promotions from the government side, the support from the infrastructure, and if you look at the newspaper, if you take the newspaper, you will find many of the states inaugurating multiple, research park, industrial parks, etc., which is going to play a very critical role in defining our supply demand, and the AI is going to come in a big way. This will be fundamentally at the supply demand stage. And when it comes to consumer, we are moving towards autonomy. The neural network which we have worked with is going to give us an opportunity to really understand the customer in a much better way, address to the requirement of the customers in a big way. So one point is extremely important to look at, and the maintenance is going to be a little different because India, the right of way continues to be one of the big challenges when you are going to expand your network either at a distribution side or a transmission side. The AI and the data one is going to generate, the time at which the consumer is going to demand, the time at which the generation is going to be the peak, is going to help us extremely, in a very big manner, to really plan our network in an extremely efficient manner. We don't need to really look at expansion of network, but there is an opportunity for us to expand the network in a very optimized way. For instance, some of the technologies, superconductor could be something which will come in the future to help us to sort this kind of thing. We can really understand what kind of technology we need to put in or bring in or innovate to really bring in the thought of, kind of optimizing the network in some significant way. Maintenance, can we look at things which does not require maintenance? Can we predict the maintenance? How do we really work around that? I think we have to really redefine the processes and the way we are going to look at things. And AI has to be, kind of brought into the system in a very structured, careful manner. And then the similar way the kind of smart grid got penetrated, especially the smart meters and some of the automation associated with that, we could also look at it in a little pragmatic manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das, for highlighting, the various. Thank you. A big round of applause to Mr. Dr. Das on those sharing his perspective on that. And thank you for sharing, the various use cases, and also talking about, how utilities not only has to look at which are the innovative solutions available for this, but also, they need to prioritize which ones to be implemented, based on their priority areas. So thank you, and let me now invite, I think we've heard from two of our utility speakers. If Sir permits, I can now bring in industry speaker in between, and let me have Mr. Alok Mishra ji, Market Area Manager, Power Grid, DNV, to come in and talk about talk about some global perspective into this area and how you see Indian utilities aligning with international benchmarks in deploying AI and robotics for grid reliability. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I am Alok Mishra from DNV. So a very good question, ma'am. Actually, India is going very good performance along with the international scene. And especially the scheme like smart metering scheme, GFS scheme, RSSD scheme, this type of scheme really help us. But still, I believe there is lots of things need to be do, and we are need to be improve ourselves along with the global performance. One of the things I really want to be forced, that is the forecasting. I'm going to take example of AEMO, the Australian regulator. They have made one team, one task force we can say. They are Australian Solar Energy Forecast System. They are responsible to do the forecast, all the rooftop solar things, along with the diagram, means how that is connected with the grid. Second thing, where they are located, what are the dynamic things they are mentioning, what are the climate conditions during those days, and what could be the performance as per the commitment. Like they are commitment at this particular time that performance would be 80%, how that a small rooftop is performing. This all the parameter, they are doing the monitoring, and all the data with the help of AI, they are doing the forecast, which is really very helpful because at present condition, the consumer now can as a consumer, which is giving lot of load on the DISCOM, DSO system, who can, and we already, because of that things, we are lots of problem we are facing. So this type of forecasting really help us. Second thing where I was particularly involved, Eliander, Netherlands-based company, we are not so penetrated on the cable side, mean connecting distribution with the cables. But yeah, on the city side, like Tata and Delhi, Mumbai, they are connected with the Discom. Discom connecting customer with the help of cable. So they, with the help of a smart cable card, they make a lab where they are monitoring 24/7 all the cable performance, and they, based on those data, they are doing the monitoring 24/7, and they are going very good, preventive maintenance, as well as they, understanding the where my cable is getting the some issues, and they are monitoring very, especially on the partial discharge PT side, they are monitoring very well. And they reduce the fault, mean direct failure, around 60% what data I understand from them. And also one of the things we are facing very well, especially in the northern India, where every year we facing the flood and climate condition. So those conditions, I take the example of Duke Energy, California, where we are also involved, the NP was involved, to helping them, how that could be help us to make the performance better. Like every year, every July, August, September, June, July, August, these 3 months, basically lots of regions go to the, got flooded. If what they do with help of AI, machine learning, they understand how much flood impacted, which area they are impacted, what are the downtime, how, and what are the things happen, like how many damages will happen. They do everything analysis again next year, and based on that, they made the trend that, yeah, this flood will become at, like, let's suppose in the month of June, and what are the things I need to be really prepared so my losses will be reduced. Like this, we already made with like some of the clusters, Tata Power did in the Odisha for the transmission system. But this, if we really implement those things here very well, I think lots of program will be help us, especially a state like Bihar, some of the part of Uttarakhand, Himachal, they are all at flooded zone. And every year we have the same story, flood come 2 to 3 months, very less electricity, and now electricity is just like oxygen. So this type of technology really help us to grow further. So at time, we have the limited time, so I would like to pause there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, and wonderful example you have shared of how the technology is helping shape the utility practices better, and that was an excellent example of that. So let me have our next panelist, Mr. Swapnadeep Banerjee, Customer Solution Manager, Trilliant. He has a presentation. Can I have the AV team to please play that? Yes. Yeah. So, Mr. Banerjee, he works very closely with the utilities to deploy customer-centric digital solutions that enhance services and deploy engagement on analytics as a service, and also, will be presenting on how AI ML can be leveraged to how analytics as a service is helping curb the non-technical losses. Over to you.
Thank you, Veena-ji. And good evening to everybody, to the panel, to the chair of the panel, and to my esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, we have been talking about AI ML, and if we are visualizing it as a module in its own, then we are very wrong. AI ML should be at every level. It should be in every component of the AMI infrastructure. And everyone who is a champion of the data that that particular component is collecting should be enriching this data and passing on. So it should not be looked into isolation. Rather, it should be looked into every aspect of the AMI infrastructure. In this regard, what I have is a use case in which we will talk about analytics as a solution to curb the NTL. I'm from Trilliant, and Trilliant has been gathering data as a HES since late 2018, and means now we are over 4 million meter endpoints that we have in India for which we are gathering the data. And globally, we are more than 4 million. So if you, So if you look at what is the technical loss and the non-technical losses, technical losses is the I square R, that's the Joule's effect that we see. And it also affects the current wiring which is there in the transformers and the eddy current and the heat generated from here. They are easy to calculate. We have been reading this in electrical engineering all our lives, to how to reduce this. So these are easily calculatable. The non-technical loss, which represents the energy consumed by the consumer and which is not correctly billed, or it is not incorrectly measured and billed. So what are these? It is produced by fraudulent connections, manipulation through the wrong meters, misconfigured meters, non-calibrated meters, can be a loss in the billing system. In general, what we see is this is the human factor which comes in. These are not easy to calculate, and on this we have this data. So what are the causes? The causes for the non-technical loss is the tampered energy shift. Energy theft is there, defective meters, uncalibrated meters, misconfigured meters, failures in the billing system, and the poor or corruption or the poor governance. Impacts, what we have seen the impacts is the revenue, observability, reliability, security, and efficiency. So if you see in India's context, we have the AT&C. So over here, the C, the commercial loss, is the NTL, if we match with what we have. The aggregated technical and commercial losses that we have in India is around about somewhere 16.6%, out of which 70 to 80% has been estimated to be the commercial loss. So we have an analytics as a solution over here, in which the analytics as a solution sits in between, and we have the APIs which talk to our embedded solution of Trilliant's Unity suite. And we have these APIs which can talk to the third party, and over here, then we can procure the data. So in this case, we are not breaching the data. If you see how does it work, so you have a fuzzifier. Now, fuzzy logic, we all know what's fuzzy logic. We have used washing machines, air conditions, anti-lock braking systems, and the camera. So fuzzy logic is something between the binary 0 and 1. It revolves around that. So fuzzifier takes this input from whatever data we have, then we apply it with the base of the rules that we have. And we have the influence engine, which works on this data, and it translates to whether it is a high NTL loss or a low NTL loss on the meter. So why is it actually needed is because for HES, we don't know the consumer. We just know the meter, the unit, the basic unit of the AMI industry. The meter is the one which we identify, and we work on that. And based on this, we can identify this base unit as high NTL or a low NTL. And then we can pass it on to third-party systems to use it. Now, what are the features that you get about in this one? The features are API modeling. So, you see that this is the API model. So we are not breaching the data from any third-party systems. We have a data pipeline which can be, which supports the proprietary and respects the proprietary data ownership of the third-party systems. What are the advantages? The model can be taken and visualized on any BI tool. It can be stored in the utilities platform and can be used for historical records. We, of course, are native to it. The benefits is, you can have a data scientist without hiring one. And you can transform into a digital utility. As Reggie said, you can be the first DBS of the utility sector. So to do a pilot, this is the last slide, and to do a pilot over here, what we need is, we need the energy calculations that can be easily achieved from the HES itself. HES gathers this data from its own system, and we store it for a considerable amount of time. And the meter GPS, yes, it is needed to actually show where is the geolocation where we have this NTL losses. The grid topology is something which is optional. We can see that which grid actually has this NTL. And a list of suspicious meters will be very good to accurately predict this data, that whatever we are doing, the analytics as a service is very accurate and can be used. That's all. I'll pause and I will take your questions today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause for Mr. Banerjee for sharing the solution you're bringing and helping the utilities identify and manage their non-technical losses. And the utilities can connect with them and all our technical partners are bringing excellent solutions. I really encourage you to please visit the exhibition and meet with them, understand the technologies they are bringing in, and hope these solutions will bring a change in the way the processes are going. So with that, let me come back to our utility speaker. I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Parikshit Bhardwaj, Senior VP BYPL. BYPL has also been using AI for many process management like outage prediction, loss analytics, as we understand. So how do you ensure that the data quality is maintained, or integration with the legacy systems to get reliable AI outcomes? Or if you want to share more, some of your experiences around implementation of AI. Over to you, Mr. Bhardwaj.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Reji ji, Alok ji, and Dayas, and my distinguished guest. From morning till time, it is very clear and proven that power distribution utility is no longer supplying the electricity, but it is doing with the smarter, safe, and efficiently. And we into BSES are working with the innovation of the technology, infusing the same into the network. That is the result that right from the SCADA, which is working up to the voltage level of 11 kV very efficiently and remotely. We are monitoring the data, and the result is this, that all the parameters are in a controlled way, and we are governing each and everything within the brackets as per the regulation. And somewhere these areas are surpassing the benchmarks. If we come to the grids level established within the BYPL, BSES or RPL areas, all grids, equipments, whether it is RTU, breakers, etc., are fully integrated with our SCADA system, where all signals are there available with the SCADA, all logs are there. So whatever kind of discrepancies observed, that is triggered to the concern, and before the failure of the collapse of the system or the complete blackout, that is being taken care of predictively. So this shows that somehow partially this all AI ML tools are being used. That's why we are into the power supply reliably to the tune of 99.57%. And similarly the breakdown restoration time, which was earlier more than 1 hour, now it is only 41 minutes. Right? Similarly, the SAIFI-SAIDI indices are largely improved. When we come to the electric substation, where we need to have the health monitoring system that has been put into the place, so that we can analyze the data of the transformer, how the transformer is behaving, how the LT system switchgear is behaving, so that the corrective actions are being put into the place. If we come to the next level, we are using the drone technology, where these tools are being used somehow, and on the basis of the drone technology, when it is being monitored and analyze the data, I can see and I can tell you that the number of breakdowns has gone down to the tune of 63% using it, and it is continuously being done. So my point of saying in brief is this: if these tools, where we have the huge data, as Alok ji and Pankaj Agrawal ji in the earlier as a speaker very categorically mentioned that the power utility is having huge data, and we people are using these data, right, in some ways. That's why we people are here, and we are saying proudly that the supply indices are to the tune of this and that percentage. So my conviction, having the experience, that if these data are used in right and honest way and put into the AI/ML tools, I am sure we will be on the top. So my submission at the end is, and request is this: if these young engineers are being trained specifically and exclusively, I am sure that these AI and ML tools will be driven in a very directional way and will come out with the flying colors. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhardwaj. Those excellent suggestions and points put forward. I think the idea behind Distribution Utility Meet is to bring in all the experiences and use cases and share best practices. So I think this panel is a wonderful example of that. So thank you so much, and that brings us to the last panelist for this session. Let me invite Mr. Anish Kalucha, CIO and Head IT and Automation from Noida Power Corporation Limited. NPCL has been adopting advanced automation tools, and from an IT perspective, Mr. Kalucha, what are the key enablers for AI, for integration and ensuring tangible business outcomes? Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. When we are talking about AI/ML, we've been hearing from the negative side, data side, positive side of it, multiple use cases across the day, right? But then what, as per NPCL's, thoughts, what we understood was the most important factor was building the culture of the organization. It is not an IT initiative. It is not a business initiative. It is a joint across the company initiative which has to be driven. So what we have done is, one very critical step we have taken is building the AI Council. So we've already moved on to that step where we've already built an AI Council. Now in this council, it is not the IT people. It is a cross-functional team from various departments, right? We have picked up one or two people from every department, maybe commercial, procurement, business, everywhere, finance. And then these are the people who are defining the use cases. So which is the, where defining the use cases becomes, again, a very, very important factor, right? So this is the first step we have taken. And this, what I feel, is a definite enabler for building the AI culture in the company. The second thing, what we've taken up is defining the objectives, right? See, what is the outcome which is going to come? Defining that is, again, very, very important. See, there is data, there is information available, but then what is the outcome I'm expecting of every initiative? That needs to be defined. So which is part of, again, this, the AI Council, which does all this work. The third important aspect, which I feel is an enabler is the data, again. So data, when we are talking about, there are two very, very important aspects of the data. One is the completeness of the data, and second is the correctness of the data. Now, here also, we have a IT business council within the company. Now, the job of this council is, while there are use cases which are defined by the AI council, so this team looks at what is the data available with me. Now, is the data complete or not? So literally, we have come across cases where it was assumed that data is there, smart meters. When we are talking about smart meters, profile data. So everybody understands that half an hour profile data needs to be there. But is it actually available in the system? Is it checked for that? So that is where, the completeness of the data and the correctness of the data. These were two major aspects, which we worked upon. Then, when we talk about the, training aspect, right? So then, there again, these councils, they are picking up the courses across the, various universities, various companies,
who are providing the training. And then we are, picking up young people who are, interested in getting trained and putting in these training programs. For the implementation also, again, very, very important. So when we are talking about culture, so there are companies who are providing the solutions, but then, the culture has to be within the organization also. So what we have done is, we have, taken a two-pronged strategy. So one, we have as a small team within IT, who are all AI-trained engineers and who have, multiple initiatives they are working on. And second is we are hiring few companies also who are delivering the initiatives. Now, what generally happens is a company will come, deliver the initiative, but to carry it forward into multiple years, it becomes a challenge. So this small team and the AI Council and the IT Council, so these are three teams which are working specifically on AI initiatives. And, they have a specific role also into it. So this, I feel, are few of the enablers which are very important and which need to be adopted by multiple DISCOMs, while they want to move into this journey. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaluja. A big round of applause. Thank you so much. Excellent points shared and initiatives by NPCL, especially on creation of an AI council, to be able to have the proper roadmap planned and for the implementation. So with that, we have had perspectives coming from all our panelists. And a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our panelists for the wonderful insights. What clearly emerged from today's discussion is that, these technologies, AI, ML, VR, robotics are no longer futuristic, and they are now transforming utilities with better reliability, safety, customer experience. And as we move forward, collaboration and capacity building the skill force and strong data governance will be the key to scaling these innovations. And before I invite our chair for the closing, concluding remarks, I think with permission from our chair, we will open the floor for just 2 questions. I know we are running very, very late, but please keep the mics ready. If anyone has a burning quick question, and please name the panelists it's for, and you can pose that. I know our sessions have been very, very long and stretchy, and we've not had interaction from the audience, but this is an opportunity to quickly, a quick question, Kishorji, please hand him the mic.
Yeah, so I think it is very heartening to hear about all these disruptive technologies. My basic question is, are the IT platforms of utilities geared up to deal with so much of data and AI analytics, etc., because they are still on the old architectures and technologies which are, even database architecture, are not friendly to analytics?
Wonderful question. Can I request Mr.
So, Kishore, you came in a little late. When I was mentioning, that was the exact caution I just was kind of throwing. That, it looks very interesting to get AI and into the utility just like that, but it is not so easy. So you have to really optimize, make sure that what is your priority and how you really go and doing it. And what you say is very true, because it is not cheap. I mean, in the sense that, because what happens is, the utility operates on a very different business model. We are looking at not to increase the tariff, we want to look at the 20 years life of whatever equipment needs to go. Whereas the industry moves much faster, especially in the space of IT, etc. And what you are saying is absolutely true. There has to be a long-term strategy for the company also to really work on the infrastructure in such a fashion that you have to really focus on where the adoption of the technology needs to happen. For instance, in our case, optimizing, I was mentioning that optimizing the renewable generation, integrating with the grid, the battery energy storage system. I think you have to focus on the area which is going to make all the difference when it comes to capital optimization. And then move into the other periphery area like the drones and things like that. And I do agree with you, what you said, and we need to be careful how we are going to do and implement this. Thank you.
And also we need to think about the cyber security. That is another burning issue.
And AI security is one of the, whiz kid on the block, which is creating a lot of trouble.
Okay, to answer your question, are the utilities ready to it or not? I can say it from the point of view of the RDSS, the SBD version 4.0. Arun Bali sir is here, and he will be there. In this, the bid document that we have, there is a section of the CSP. So the cloud service service that is coming along. We have international players like Google, AWS, who are venturing into this field, and they are bringing their best. So if not at a higher level, but we are starting definitely.
No, that's a very welcome point, but I think just by working with the new cloud operators will not help you. We need architectural changes in our IT platform. That was
totally agree. Thank you. That was a wonderful question. I know we have all the private discoms sitting with us, but I'm sure going forward, our future panels will also be having a lot of innovations coming from our public discoms and sharing their experiences. So with that, I think now it's time for the concluding remarks by our Honorable Chair, Mr. Alok Kumarji. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rina, for effectively moderating the session. I think it's a long day, and audience has been very patient. They have been listening whatever we are speaking from here since morning. So I'll be very brief. This has been a wonderful session, a lot of learnings even for me. I'm sure for the audience also, a lot of learnings. What I can summarize, there are proven use cases, what I heard from the utilities on the dais. But there are 3 key learnings from the session. First, I'll say what Ganesh said from Tata Power. It costs a lot. And we are regulated entities. Regulator is not going to easily allow that cost. So the first thing is you must see, is the cost justified for value to the customer? That is go for the application which gives you maximum buck. Second thing, which I think we were given this, analysis as a service. But it's a very welcome business model, but the theme emerges from what was saying the gentleman there, he asked question, and our colleague from the Noida Power Company. The success lies in creating internal structures in the discoms. I like that idea that AI Council, AI Business Council, and IT Council, unless until you have ability to sustain that use, any external vendor will fleece you, they will come with a beautiful offerings, lot of cost and go away, but the distribution companies to be ready to absorb it. I think that is a key message we should go back. Lot of homework for IDA, as Rina was saying, some progressive discoms or some discoms, first mover discom I'll say, are sitting on the dais, but there are a lot of discoms sitting in the audience. IDA has a job to see that this revolution reaches every discom in the country and we succeed. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and a big round of applause, and over to Aishwarya for the closing.
Thank you very much, madam. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a huge round of applause. I think that was a truly insightful and compelling session there. I am now going to request our chair, Shri Alok Kumarji, to please do the honors of felicitating our eminent panelists. So if I could quickly request you, sir, I know that sir has to go, he has to go to the airport for his flight. He was supposed to be leaving at 6:30. It's already 2 minutes over and above. So we'd request you, sir, to please felicitate our eminent panelists. And let us start with Ms. Reena Suri. Okay. So Shri Rohit Parikh, Chief Product Officer, Impressa.ai. Our presenters. So let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Shri Rohit Parikh, Chief Product Officer, Impressa.ai. Do we have one for Shri Reji Kumar Pillai as well? We'll go on to our next set of our panelists, in fact. Shri Abhishek Ranjan, CEO, BRPL. Let's have a huge round of applause for Shri Abhishek Ranjan, CEO BRPL. Thank you, sir. Dr. Ganesh Das, we will felicitate next. Dr. Ganesh Das, Chief, Collaboration and Innovation, Tata Power Company Limited. Let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Shri Parikshit Bhardwaj, Senior VP, BYPL. Let's have a huge round of applause for Shri Parikshit Bhardwaj, Senior Vice President, BYPL. Thank you, sir. Shri Alok Mishra, Market Area Manager, Power Grid, DNV. Let's have a round of applause for Shri Alok Mishra, Market Area Manager, Power Grid, DNV. Thank you, sir. Shri Swapnadeep Banerjee, Customer Solutions Manager, Trilliant. So let's have a round of applause for Shri Swapnadeep Banerjee, Customer Solutions Manager, Trilliant. And Shri Anish Kalucha, CIO and Head IT and Automation, NPCL. Thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see that the audience is still bright and chirpy. We're going to have a group photograph now. I'm going to request you, Shri Reji Kumar Pillai, sir, may I request you to please join us for the group photograph as well. And we'll take this group picture. Ladies and gentlemen, just to remind you, we have a beautiful cultural program that we've organized, which will take place right after this last session of the day. Another very compelling session on digital energy grids and the emerging era of energy internet. And the session is partnered by Impresa.ai.